And welcome back to Blake's Den, and in this video I'm going to wax oil the underside of my 2005 2.7 V6 Hyundai Santa Fe before it goes into storage. Let's make a start. I've just got the car running here, just warming up a bit. It hasn't run for a few weeks. So, full story, if you've not followed this car on my channel, go and check out the other videos. But this car was inherited. It sat around for 7 years, not being used. My previous car, which was a Subaru Forester XT-EN, snapped its lower control arm, which is quite common on them. And I decided to push this into action, and that was February 2020. I'm videoing this now at the end of September, so start of October 2024. So it's given me sort of 3.5 years of motoring, relatively trouble-free. I've had a few issues here and there, but it's now been replaced by something else, something a lot nicer. But I had the option of either trading this in or selling it. And to be honest, the car doesn't owe me anything because I inherited it, and it's a low mileage car, so it's only on like 47,000 miles. Bit of a partial service history on it, which is why it's not worth much. Paint is in bad condition, and yeah, you know, there's bits like this coming on. It's a £500 car, I think, at the end of the day. So rather than trading it in or selling it, I thought, well, let's just keep it for another 7 years. Park it up for 7 years and see what happens. I've got the space to do that, so that's what I'm going to do. But one thing I want to do before I do all of that is I want to undercoat the car with wax oil to protect it the best I can. So wax oil isn't necessarily the best product to use. I think there's better things on the market, like stuff that contains lanolin. I put LanoGuard on my Mini earlier in the year. Built Amber Dynax stuff, which I've put on Project Designer. But I've got this. It's just sitting in the garage, not being used. So, and I've got a car which is sitting around, not being used. But why don't we just put the two together and see what happens? You do need to heat up this to make it flow. So I'm going to put that in some warm water. And then I'm going to spray it on using the air compressor and the spray bottle. And I'm just going to coat this the best I can underneath, just to give it a fighting chance. I also need to get the car up in the air first, but I think I've got a cunning plan for that. So this is my CJ Autos tilting car lift. I'm not sure whether you've seen this before. If you haven't, check out any of my videos on Project Designer, which is the Mini in there. This has been under it for quite a few years now, and the whole thing lifts, powered by a drill. It lifts and it tilts, and it allows you to sort of pick up the vehicle. So I'm going to try and use this. It's rated to 2 tons. Santa Fe is not 2 tons, so we'll use this to lift it up, and that'll help us get underneath to wax oil everything. So how this works is that it's adjustable width, but I've just kept it on the width it was on before. And then it's got wheels on it, so you can slide it under your car. And then I'm just going to position it where I think is a good place, and where hopefully it's not going to hit anything underneath the car. And then we can lift this up. So I think I've got that in a position I'm happy with. It's sort of on the body rails. I won't say the chassis rails because it's a monocoque. And then it should just be a case if I just turn the drill. Begins lifting the car up. Yeah, that's going up fine. So yeah. Ideally, it's going to sort of tilt at some point. You try not to lift the car vertically. So let's just keep doing this and see what happens. think it's a bit much for my drill. It does have shear pins in, so if you do sort of overstress the drill, the shear pin should go first before your drill dies. So yeah, I don't think that's gone too bad. I think I'll go a little bit higher and then I can get the pin in here to lock it off. Got the pin in there now to lock it off. It's not as high as I would like it, but it's high enough to do what I need to do. So right, let's sort out the wax oil. So I've got the wax oil heating up in a pan of water on the old Baby Belling electric ring. Not much water in there, but it was the most my kettle could do in one go. So we'll let this heat up and then see how it's all waxy. That should turn all liquidy and then it's fine for spraying. This is a sprayer gun I'm going to use. Connected to my compressor, then if you just go, it sprays out. There's already some built amber stuff in there. One thing you've got to accept, it's going to be incredibly messy when you do this, so gloves on, goggles on, and yeah, I'm not too worried if the floor gets covered in it. Yeah, and I'll just work my way around. I want to do all the suspension struts, just try and get as much done as I can. So let's make a start. Right, I didn't film too much of that because it's quite messy and the wax oil goes cold quickly, particularly when you're expanding it. You know, P1V1 equals P2V2, all of that jazz, Boyle's law. So yeah, I've gone rather haphazardly sprayed inside the engine bay. If this was my daily car and I was going to keep using it, I would have done it a bit neater than what I've done. But then I've just caked the front suspension as well. Hopefully you can see under here. Sills are done. I've avoided the exhaust the best I can. I've got the rear suspension fuel tank. Come round. Oh, sorry. Yeah, rear suspension. Done the tow bar. Diff, which is unlikely to rust. And sort of the rear suspension again. So I think this is going to give it a fighting chance of trying to keep it alive a bit longer, really. Hopefully should keep that rust at bay. Right, next job I want to do, back down on the floor, run the engine, and that'll burn off anything which is sort of stuck to the exhaust. So we're back down off a ramp now and just clean it out with my Parkside shop vac, and it's all looking good in here, nice and clean. Found things in the back that I forgot I had, like this cargo net here, and yeah, lots of things in the boot. So yeah, I just thought I'd get it clean-ish. It was never immaculate to start off with, and it'll make it easier for 7 years time, whenever it is, and when I decide to put it back on the road. And I'm just going to give the interior a quick once over now. So I've got this random bottle of Dash Shine, so we'll see what this does. It's really odd, this. It's like a reverse barn find. I'm putting it into storage, not getting it out of storage, so I probably shouldn't do the steering wheel, but hey ho, it's done now. I'll give all that a good spray, and then I've also got some quick valet for the awkward bits. That one foams up, so we'll put that on the grotty bits, and then we'll give them a bit of a scrub. Well, I don't know if the car's haunted, but as I was cleaning the dashboard there, I hit the radio and what song came on? But Don't Leave Me This Way. And it was at that very moment where it said, "Don't leave me this way." I can't sing. Is the car trying to tell me something? It's a few days later now, and I've got the car where I want it to rest. Ideally, it would go in that garage tent, but there's no room, and this caravan will be moving at some point. So before I finally leave it be for a while, there's a few jobs I want to do. First one is I want to do some fuel treatment to stop the fuel from going stale. So I'm going to put some of that in, and then I'm going to put some rodent repellent in the car as well. So I bought this fuel stabilizer off Amazon. It's all in German, but it's also in French and Dutch on the back. But it's basically 25 ml of this for every 5 litres of fuel. I think I've got that right. Yeah. I've got about a third of a tank, which is about 20 litres. So basically I need 4 25 ml shots of this. So it's one of those ones where you sort of like squeeze it and it sort of fills up. There we go, you see how it's filling up there. And then it's got a reading on, that's about 25 ml. So we'll put that in, down the hole, and we'll keep doing that. And then we've got to run the engine, but I'm just going to run the fuel pump to circulate back around the fuel lines. So I need to run the fuel pump, or I could just run the engine, but I don't really need to run the engine. So the Santa Fe has a little sort of test circuit where you can run the fuel pump. So it's that prong there. So if I put my magic lead in there, this is a lead I've used before, and I put it around to this big 140 amp link here. So that is actually running the fuel pump now. You can't hear it, but I can hear the fuel coming up the fuel rail, going around the injector, by the injectors and back on the return line. So it says to run them for 20 minutes. I'm going to leave that running for a bit, and then I'm going to, whilst it's doing that, I'm going to make my rodent repellent. So I'm having a go making this homemade rodent repellent, which is some Epsom salts, which you can get from sort of any sort of chemist or any sort of shop like that. And then I've got some peppermint oil, which is supposed to be a rodent repellent. And we already had this stuff in the house, so you can buy it pre-made. What I'm just doing, I'm just putting a bit of peppermint oil, which is really smelly, in with the mixture, you can see. And yeah, that should repel the rodents. Apparently they really don't like the smell of the cleanness of the peppermint, so I'll put them in the car. I've got my homemade rodent repellent here. So I'm going to put that up on the dashboard up here, and then I've got another one I'm going to put in the boot. So I've just got both ends of the car covered. We're down to the final couple of jobs now. First one is get the battery off. So I'll get this removed. There's no point wasting a sort of half decent battery, is there? Okay, 10mm it is. So yeah, I bought this battery, well, it'll be about 3 years ago now, but it seems really strong. It was only like 50 quid as well. So I'm going to get this out, and then I'm going to put the car cover on. So I'll bring you back when I do that. I've manually locked all the doors in the boot there. Also double check the handbrakes off. And now I'm going to put this extra large car cover on that I got from Lidl years ago. Cue the time lapse. There we are, it's all wrapped up. I had a bit of trouble with the straps. You've got some straps at the front and the back. I had like a clasp here and just a clicky bit there. You know, you put in the clasp and I'm like, huh? The strap was stuck on the bonnet and caught around the wiper and come off. So I thought there was supposed to be two at the front and one at the back, but no, there's one at the front, one at the back. Anyway, I've got it wrapped up. As I say, I don't think this will be its permanent home. I know it's going to move at some point. I don't think it'll be the end of this car on the channel. You never know what life's going to bring you. I may need a tow car or a reliable car very quickly, and I know I've got one sitting here that's good to go. So with that, we'll end the video. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you've liked the video, press the like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel as well. It costs you nothing. And we'll leave on a sad montage of things I've done with the Hyundai Santa Fe.